Hi, welcome to day two of the Front Desk Freedom Project. Today we're diving into all things training. We went from hiring yesterday. How do I find good quality front desk talent? Definitely go back and watch that if you didn't see day one. Now, day two, really our goal is to talk about how do you train your front desk to close like you do, right? Without you having to be there, without you having to micromanage them. And I want you to actually build a team that frees you up from the phones as opposed to you constantly having to intervene. And so here's what I want you to walk away with today. So by the end of the session, you're going to know exactly how to train your front desk to close like you without you having to be there all the time. And I want to show you a proven system that turns those new hires into confident closers, right? How do I take somebody from brand new Indeed ad and actually get them to confidently handling all the things on the phones you need them to handle? And some mindset shifts that make your front desk, not just like survive the call, but I want them to actually own it. And I'll talk to you about that today too. Now, there's several reasons why your front desk sounds like a rookie, and here are some of those reasons. And this is a common complaint that I hear from a lot of practice owners. They hire somebody and they just can't trust them because they just don't sound like they do on the phone. And some of that is you teach them things, but you don't actually train and you don't actually lead them outside of the first couple of weeks of working with them. You hand them scripts rather than frameworks, and you're not coaching on scenarios. You're just coaching merely on scripts that exist. And you hope that they'll figure it out instead of actually building a roadmap for them. You just say, well, the best people are going to figure it out. And while that is true, many of you guys aren't going to be able to find that talent when you're only hiring part-time help. And then the other thing is you never actually track or score calls or data for your practice. And these are big things that ultimately create a lot of problems when it comes to training. And so what most of you guys have is call takers, right? And what we really need is plan of care closers. And so when we have call takers, we have somebody who, basically they're just a warm body, right? Like they just sit down at the desk. They don't have any follow through. They don't have any initiative. They're talking about price and insurance and being out of network within the first 30 seconds to a minute of the phone call. They make minimal improvement with time and they just kind of go through the motions. They collect a paycheck, close out the day, and call it good. And they lead with logistics rather than trying to actually build connection with your potential client. On the flip side, we've got somebody who's a plan of care closer, right? This is somebody who ultimately leads with connection rather than logistics. They constantly seek improvement. They're constantly looking to grow. They're connecting with patients for 10 to 15 minutes on the phone call, and they're actually confident with objections that come through. Not somebody who just says, "Hey, I need to talk to my spouse," and they're like, "Okay, talk to you later." That's not what somebody who is a plan of care closer sounds like on the phones. And what I used to believe, and this was kind of how my philosophy was early on, was, hey, I already gave them scripts. They just need to memorize them. Just memorize the script, stick to the script, and we will close people. And the reality is that's just not really the case. Or I've done this one too. Well, just give them some time. They'll sound better with time. They'll get there eventually. And then I started to think, well, shoot, maybe this is like a lead problem, right? We're running Facebook ads. Maybe these Facebook ads are just garbage and this is our problem. And then I start to think, well, I don't have the time to sit down and role play with them. Like I don't have the time to do that. And this is the mindset that will keep you stuck as a practice owner. And the day that I realized that I was the real problem with the way that I was training is after my first admin quit and she put her notice in after literally 2 weeks on the job, and I needed to now hire somebody else. And so this time I thought, I'm going to hire much slower. I actually interviewed five total people this time as opposed to just like kind of casually talking to three. And I was terrified of turnover. I was just like worried to death about it because it already happened once. I was losing, a PT in this process as well. But ultimately, I finally found the perfect fit for the practice. She seemed great. Everything was going to work out fantastic. And I handed her scripts that I had spent a lot of time and money refining and perfecting. I'd worked with like two or three marketing groups. I had worked with several mastermind groups. So I had videos like nobody's business, and I had scripts like nobody's business. And I said, hey, why don't you go through all of this material? And this was great. I mean, we had a lot of stuff for her to go through. But what I realized 6 months later is my patient care schedule was way more empty than it was 6 months prior. And I could not understand it. We're spending the same amount of money on marketing. We are doing the same number of organic marketing events. So why is it that our schedule is not nearly as busy as I think it should be? And what I realized, and these are exact data metrics from our practice, where in April 2022, we were running Facebook ads and we were doing $5,500 a month in revenue. This is actually not profitable. And then I looked at it and said, hey, we're losing money on ads. We're getting a lot of leads, but not many of those people are actually showing up. Only 11 out of those 44. And only five of those people are actually buying a plan of care. Like, this is kind of a problem, right? And we were hemorrhaging money every single month. And so I kept thinking to myself, okay, well, let's hand her more videos. You go back and watch this video about our script. So she did. And she spent time watching videos, and she spent time reading over the script and having the script in front of her. I'd paid $10,000 plus for these mastermind groups. I had the perfect script, but I kept asking myself, why didn't this work? Why were we not seeking and getting the results that I thought we should be? And it just didn't make any sense. And so what I needed instead was I needed a framework to actually train and not just show somebody some videos and hope that we actually made an outcome and made a change, because what I was doing wasn't changing. And this is where I found the front desk mastery framework. And this is exactly what I did to turn our front desk conversions around and completely get over the training hoops that we kept jumping through. And so the front desk mastery is all about this. It's all about see one, do one, and teach one. And if your front desk can do these three things very, very well, you're going to have a lot less issue of them saying, well, I didn't know how to do that, or there's going to be a lot more follow through on the things that you are actually coaching them to do. And we'll go through these things now. C1 is just like it sounds. We're going to show them, we're going to coach them, we're going to pull out calls that I even took personally. Maybe they watch me do the call. Let them watch videos, which is what most of you guys have already. And then I'm documenting every step along the way. What is our standard process for doing these things? And now they have a lot of different elements. They're hearing it, they're seeing it, they're writing it. All of these things they are seeing it in a lot of different fashions, and this can help them learn. And it tackles all of the different abilities somebody has to learn. And showing somebody one time isn't enough. And handing them some coaching videos isn't enough. That's not seeing one. That's not seeing dynamic situations that may arise. And this is what most of you do is you teach them one single time how to do something, and that just you say, well, I showed them how to do it, so I don't understand, or I've got a video about that. Why don't they understand how to do it? They have to understand the context and actually be able to put those puzzle pieces together. And then from there, after they've seen one, I want to watch them actually do it. So once they do what I'm asking them to do, watch them do it. But don't micromanage them, right? Like, don't like sit over their shoulder for every phone call. It's going to make them pretty nervous. And then I need to correct and give feedback quickly. Don't give them feedback a month later. You got to give them feedback right after they make, a mistake, or give them feedback of what was good and what wasn't good. And they have to be able to practice these things frequently, and you have to watch them do this task frequently. Because if they can do it frequently, then now they actually committed to learning, and repetition truly is the key to adult learning. And this is what helps them actually complete the things that we need them to be able to complete and for them to be able to do it frequently. Now, you have to make time in your schedule to actually watch them make progress. And you have to see, is the things I'm showing them and coaching them and the feedback I'm showing them, is it actually improving? Don't do like I did, where I wasted a year of an admin underperforming before I decided to actually make a change. And it's not that I was passive about it, but I never watched them actually do things. I never actually coached them on these things. And if you're not making time in your schedule to watch their progress, you're going to be like me and lose several $1,000s a month. And I don't want you to do that. And from there, I want them to teach it back to you or teach it to somebody else on your team if you have a team. Have them teach you something they missed on a phone call. Have them listen to it and then have them actually coach you back on what would they improve on this phone call. This is massive. This is all about learning at this point. And then see them teach you on how to handle the do you take my insurance objection. Teach me what you would say in this situation. Or, hey, I need to talk to my spouse. What would you do in this situation? These are the things that ultimately really move the needle for folks who, are unsure. They take that learning, and now I have to actually be able to speak it out loud. If they can't speak it out loud, then they don't actually truly understand the situation or how to handle it, right? And really, we want to back all of this up with data. So see one, do one, teach one. But ultimately, I don't want to make emotional decisions about what's going on in the practice or at the front desk. And most of you guys are playing the game blind. You're playing darts blind. You've literally got a blindfold in your eyes and you're trying to throw a little itty bitty dart at the wall and try to hit that center. And you're missing because you don't have data to drive your decisions. And what gets measured actually is truly going to get managed. And what happens is when you don't have clear data, your front desk doesn't know how to win. And they're lost. They're very lost and they're very confused because they don't have the understanding of what drives the position forward. They just think, hey, if I do my to-do list, I'm probably good in the eyes of the owner. Or hey, I called all of those leads today, but I only got one of those people to actually schedule. Got a bunch of insurance objections, and they'll call me back. But what really is happening is they're confused, right? They're not sure what drives this position. They're not sure how to actually handle these things, and they don't have data to let them know how they're doing. That's like going to a football game and they play the entire 60 minutes, but the scoreboard's covered up, and you don't know who's winning. You're just watching this game. It could be coming down to the wire. We could be coming down to the last seconds of the game, and somebody's about to score. They're down one touchdown, but they're on the 2 yard line, and they're trying to score to tie it up before we go into overtime. And you don't know that there's only a couple seconds left, and you don't even know that they're one touchdown down. But so now that sense of like urgency is really like low. Versus if I know that this is the last play of the game, you're on the 2 yard line and you're down 7 points and you're trying to score to go into overtime, that urgency is very high. And the same thing is true for your front desk. If they understand, hey, I need to get 5 evals every single week to keep the provider schedule full, then they're going to work really hard to actually do that because they understand the game and they're not playing blind. Now, the top 1% of practice owners, they either lead their front desk or they're going to have to hire somebody who will help them lead their front desk, whether that's an office manager or maybe you promote somebody else on your team or maybe you hire us to actually help like coach and lead your front desk, give you data and decisions and help coach and lead these folks because the people who have rock solid front desk teams have rock solid sales processes. And when you have a good sales process, you have more people saying yes. Now your schedule is more full and everybody's happy and everybody's winning. But those, if you're not leading them and somebody else isn't leading them, they're on autopilot. They don't have a sense of urgency. And that's where you get that drift and that lack of solid output from your front desk team. So, pro tip here, data drives decisions, not emotions. Yeah, I just want to simply look at the data. How is the data comparing to when I was taking the phone calls, or maybe you had somebody else on the team? Are those patients actually showing up? Are they buying a plan of care? And are they actually becoming long-term raving patients of your practice? And if I have data to actually back that up, then great. As opposed to, oh, I think we're doing pretty well. It seems, she seems like she's engaging, but really she's not converting at all. How do you know all that time you spent training and all those hours that he or she spent watching videos is actually going to come through? And so what happens when you actually lead your front desk or you hire somebody that can is ultimately you start to regain a lot of revenue. And if you look at the difference here, we were doing $10,000 more a month on just our paid advertising with less leads coming in the door. So I had less total leads coming in, actually like opting in, but I had more of them actually showing up for evals, and I had more of them, almost triple, buying plans of care. And when you have that many more people buying plans of care, you're going to be making more revenue in the practice. You're impacting more patients' lives. You can hire more therapists, or you can hire more front desk team. And regardless of the fact, it gives you peace of mind. That's the big thing is I didn't have this overwhelming anxiety of like, who's going to handle my phones? Are they going to be handled well? If I go on vacation, what's going to happen? Or, oh, I got to hire somebody new. And gosh, I'm just worried about these calls being handled. And ultimately, our front desk self corrects now, right? When you have a system and a process and data to drive these decisions, the front desk self corrects or they reach out when they actually need help. When their metrics are off or they're underperforming, they know to reach out. Like me and my front desk have a great relationship where, hey, I'm having trouble scheduling as many people. Can you help me take a look and figure out what's going on? And now we've got added revenue back into the practice. But more importantly, these front desk teams stick around for way longer. And that's what everybody's after at the end of the day is front desk retention because they feel like they belong, they know how to play the game, and this isn't just another job now, which is what many of you guys treat your front desk as is just another job. They treat it that way as well, and that's why they leave every 6 to 12 months. And we don't want that to happen. So now we've dove into how do I hire. We now dove into how do I actually train, right? We got to see one, do one, teach one, actually give them some tools besides handing them some videos. And now I need to figure out how do I actually lead this person, right? Training is what builds the skill, but leadership helps build the long-term system. You've got the A player on board from a hiring standpoint. You've got them to close like pros, but now how do I prevent this person from drifting? Right? Like we don't want 6 months from now, this person who is doing really well to suddenly not be, suddenly they're not doing well for some reason, and we're not sure why. And when that's the case, we have this drift that creeps in, and now we feel like we need to hire somebody new, or they ultimately leave because they don't feel like they're doing anything meaningful. So that's what we'll dive into tomorrow, 1 p.m. Central. Definitely catch us live, or if you're catching the replay, we'll see you guys then as well. We'll stop in now for some quick Q&A for those of you that are catching live, and we'll see the rest of you guys tomorrow.